fancy intro music. Yeah! Woohoo! Hey there, Capsuleers. Welcome back to another video for Eve Echoes University, where I'm going to take a look at a faction cruiser that, now that battleships and everything are out, hopefully lowering the prices just a smidge, or battle cruisers anyway, and that you can use for some heavy PvE grinding. Now, this is a fantastic ship for PvP, but also still one of the better ones for PvE, and you can load it out several different ways to find out and do whatever it is that you're actually looking to do. For me personally, lots of PvE because needing the ISK, but you know, you can take this out in some PvP runs. I use this in my gank fleets when I'm FCing, whether in AWP or, you know, in Pan. But if you're going out in groups, probably leave it at home because the price tag is going to get a little bit high. But it's something to set a goal for and something to look for in terms of what you want to focus on and go into in the game. So let's take a look at the fittings menu here, and we'll start with that aspect of it. Now, this setup and the different ones I want to show you can easily take on, you know, a level 10 ANOM in deep space and solo it. It's annoying because fighting battle cruisers means and battleships means it takes forever for the DPS to really burn through their hulls and shields, but you can still do it because of the tanking value. So you can see at sitting at rest, or we call this a cold loadout, I've got 26,000 defense and 815 DPS. Now this is a basic gyro, as I've got my C-type sitting on my Hurricane. You know, I only bought one because I rarely use these, just to show you a DPS boost. And then we've got a cap. Let's go through the weapons. I will say on a ship this size, you really want to go C-type everything when you can. I basically run only C-types, but I'm going to show you a couple different loadouts, which means swapping out some random junk that I have just laying around, because that's the nature of this game, is I've got stuff and way too many space stations. So anyway, I got C-type auto cannons. I use this as a close range boat. That's all I really use it for. Get in, orbit around 4 or 5 kilometers, enjoy the heck out of my DPS, and face tank everything. Whether it's a Dead Space, an Inquisitor Scout, or just a regular ANOM, that's, you know, the Cynabal strat. It's strong enough to take on the blast while also dealing out some pretty sick deeps. So I've got 5 C-type medium autocannons there. Then over here, I've got a target painter. This loadout is basically set up for PvP right now, though also with a little bit of a mix because it just depends on what I'm doing that day. But the target painter is for those little frigates and those drones, specifically drones. Like you run up on a prophecy, you got to kill the drones. Well, target painter helps with that, and also a web of fire. Now, when I'm running more of the PvE, I would actually put a second Predator Stasis Web of Fire here instead of this interruptive Warp Scrambler. The reason I have the Warp Scrambler is for if we do some chase down in PvP, or even if we're doing, you know, PvE grinding. The nice thing is disrupts ship's cargo computer, disabling warping, jumping, and micro warp drives. Sorry, I'm in the way. Right here, disables micro warp drives. This actually can be very helpful in your PvE grinding because you get into some of these elites that come after you. Well, a lot of them are using micro warps, and it's a pain in the neck to chase those things down. So this can be useful in PvE, and I have it in my loadout, but I also will just put in another web of fire because that Predator Stasis Web of Fire will really drag them down. And then I'm using a Mark 7 Infiltrator, which is just a medium alkalite, so just go up a step, and I'm doing that because of the type of damage that it deals, which is, you know, that beautiful EM damage taking on shields. Now for the bottom row, I've got a C-type Pithom medium shield booster. Not really, kind of self-explanatory, nothing really for that. Then I've got the invulnerability fields. Now these have just dropped dramatically in price. I mean, when I got mine, they were going for about $160, you know, 160 million. Now they're down to about 44, 45 million. It's a great time to really load up on these, by the way. If you want a nice little market tip, even if you can't afford the Cynabal, start buying these, because these will always be useful, and I doubt they stay this low in price. I'd be very surprised if they don't go back up. If they don't, oh well, they're still the best invulnerability field you can have in the game, and they're definitely something that you want to grab because this is the shield resistance that you get with it activated. A 36% boost at every layer. That's pretty daggone useful. Now this is a must, because here's one problem with this thing, is you are not cap stable at all. Like, look at my recharge time. It's redonkulous. So you have this battery. I use a C-type medium battery to recharge, and this is critical for PvE. Now you could change this up and like have a C-type gyro and then have a damage control right there instead for more survivability, but that means your fight has to be over really quick. So that's something that you would do, like say swap this for a damage control, or swap the gyro for a damage control and this for a gyro if you're doing PvP in a group setting, like a gank fleet. You're just roaming together, kitchen sink, and you're going with what you're going, then it makes sense. But if you're out there solo or doing some hardcore grinding on PvEs, whether it's missions, because you can still do storyline missions with this setup even after the update, then you're going to want this battery. It's a must-have. It's not even debatable. If you don't have this, you're going to die because you are not cap stable. You're not. So, and I know that my research isn't perfect in this area, but still, I'm telling you, you're going to want that battery if you're going in a 1 or 2 man fleet. Typically, what I'll do is I have a friend, Gene, that will go out with his Vigilant and my Cynabal. We also have, a guy will come out with his Ashy, which will do more DPS for me, and then I'll just sit there and survive and always have my cap. All right, I also have a micro warp drive now. A lot of people debate on whether should I go afterburner or micro warp drive, because as you saw with the warp scram, you can stop this from working. I go with the micro simply because if I'm going into a storyline mission, I'm going to target what's hitting me first with scrams and stuff, and I'm going to kill those. And this typically I can do that fast enough to where then I can hit my micro and get out if I need to. But a lot of times I don't even need to. So, and then finally, like I said, this is a basic gyro. If you're wanting to use a gyro, use a C-type. Don't cheap out on what you load out your expensive ships with, because it will cost you. And finally, rigs. I've got Mark IIs on here, haven't done Mark IIIs yet, but I've got a Mark II cannon collision accelerator for the damage boost. I've got a cannon burst aerator for the time adjustment. And then finally, I've got a resistance bonus to shields, which is that EM screen reinforcer for 35% bonus. Then I've got a targeting subcontroller for scan resolution, just quicker activations there. And I've got another one for that, so 2. And then finally, an inertia modifier, which is the polycarbon engine housing, which are not that expensive. A lot of the rigs that I'm currently running are not terribly pricey, and a lot of that is because of the new stuff that's coming out. Some of these are starting to drop in price. What I could easily rebuild this ship for hundreds of millions of less than what I spent to build it. It's still going to cost me $2 billion plus easy, but I'm still spending a lot less than I would, or what I did when I originally put this thing together. So we're gonna go out real quick. We're gonna turn everything on, show you what it looks like when it's running hot. Once again, I want you to bear in mind that this is not with a C-type gyro, and then just don't judge me because it's a basic. I know so many people are going to judge that basic gyro on there. It is what it is. Oh, look, somebody's about to do a mining fleet. Anyway, let's go ahead and activate, and now we'll go to our fittings menu and check out the loadout. So now we're doing right at 1,000 even DPS with a defense of 31.4, and that defense is going to stay 31.4 because of the invuln up. It's not like a damage control, which is just a 13-second boost. This is a pure buff, and then 1,000 deeps, and that's going to last as long as the gyro stays active, and then it'll go back down to that 800. So good DPS, obviously. This is a great little chase down unit. It's not as good as a chase tackle as my Drammy is, obviously, but still extremely useful, extremely fun to run, and I've had a lot of success making. Did somebody just shoot me?
Hey, bro, come on now, dog. Come on, man.
Kids these days. Anyway, the Cynabal is a great faction cruiser to get into for a lot of players. I mean, there's definitely better ships in terms of DPS. There's better ships in terms of focusing on what you want to do something. But the Cynabal is a great all-around ship. And it uses those medium cannons, which also got a nice little boost lately. You can swap those out, go a little bit more range if you wanted to. But in the end, I think what you're looking at here is probably one of the best overall faction cruisers if you're talking about doing solo missions to make some ISK. If you're doing PvE grindings like Inquisitor Scouts, Dead Spaces, if you're doing PvP, it is good at everything. It's not the best at anything, but it's good at everything. And the more time you put into it, the better you load it out. Obviously, the better it's going to be for you. So, simple as that. Get you one, fly one, and let me know what you think, and come fly with me in the Outer Rim Pirates, or if you happen to be where I'm at right now up north, come check it out there too. Love y'all. Live long and prosper. Stay safe with the Space Cowboys. Remember, shoot first, because I certainly am. Like, no hesitation. It's happening in this or any of my other ships. Running a coercer-only boat on another tune right now and loving the heck out of it. So, hate to say that because I hate the MR, but that coercer is a fun little ship. It really is. Next one. fancy intro music. Yeah!